Hello everyone, this is Tanuja Matode, wishing all of you a very good evening. I am from village Taka, district Latur. I am doing my civil engineering from Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad. I joined Guruji Education Foundation in October 2021. I would like to invite my co-host Shravani Zadav to introduce herself.
Thank you, Tanya Didi. Myself, Shravani Jadhav, currently studying in 9th standard in R.S. Devkar English Medium School at Thane. I have been a student of Guruji Education Foundation since 2018.
Welcome all of you in today's virtual meet with Honorable Mr. Anand Prabhu Desai sir. Theme of the program is Move up the value chain, be an intrapreneur or entrepreneur.
हौसला बुलंद कर, रास्तों पर चल दे, तुझे तेरा मुकाम मिल ही जाएगा. अकेला तू पहल तो कर, काफिला बन ही जाएगा. In the same way, our today's guest Anand sir has walked towards his goal despite many odds and now has given employment to more than 1,500 people. So let's welcome co-founder of Turtlement, Honorable Mr. Anand Prabhu Desai sir.
Welcome, sir. I would like to invite our GEF functionaries to welcome our honorable guest.
I'm Maya Dupkar and I'm a supporter for Guruji Education Foundation. So I take this opportunity to give a warm welcome to Anand and once again a warm welcome, and we are excited and very eager to listen to your fabulous journey and your guidance and your on this journey. From your learnings and guidance would help us all and our students. And we're just so over to you, Pradeep ji. We are just excited to hear from you.
Certainly. I think Maya has put it so well that I don't think I have to add anything but to just say that I completely agree with Maya. We are very eager to listen to you and we are very privileged to have you today amongst us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Anand. Hi, Anand. I'm Harshita Goyal. I am one of the supporters of GEF. I welcome everyone who has joined today, and we are looking forward for a very interactive session.
Thank you. I would like to invite Ruchika Girde to sing welcome song written by our GEF supporter Mukundra sir and composed by our GEF supporter Dr. Ashwin Zavdekar sir.
हा शुभ दिन ही अमृत वेळा, हा शुभ दिन ही अमृत वेळा, आनंदाला उधाण आले, आनंदाला उधाण आले, शब्द स्वरांची गुंफून सुमने, शब्द स्वरांची गुंफून सुमने, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले. तुम्ही घातली कर्तृत्वाने शून्यातून गगनास गवसणी, जरी कवळले नभातही पायभूमीवर थांबणे हमी, स्फूर्तिदायक चरित्र तुमचे युवा पिढीला प्रेरक ठरले, आज विम्याच्या क्षेत्रामध्ये टर्टल मुक्त हे नाव झळाळे, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले. परिस्थितीचे आघात दुस्सह कोमेजती स्वप्ने अंकुर, त्यांना द्यावी नवीन ऊर्जा, हाच आमचा ध्यास निरंतर, मुली मेधावी वंचित ग्रामीण त्यांच्यासाठी नव्या पिढीने सुजाण व्हावे, संस्कारांचे भान असावे, देण्यातील आनंद कळावा, संवेदनशील मानस व्हावे, सर्वांगीण हो विकास त्यातून, कीर्तिमान हे राष्ट्र बनावे, आदर्श तुमचा हेऊन सन्मुख, टाकू आम्ही पुढे पाऊले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, हा शुभ दिन ही अमृत वेळा, आनंदाला उधाण आले, शब्द स्वरांची गुंफून सुमने, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले, स्वागत करीतो आम्ही आपले.
Thank you, Ruchika Didi. Now, I would like to invite Jagruti Kadegapur to introduce our honorable guest.
Thank you, Shravani. Hello, everyone. My name is Jagruti Kadegapur. I am currently studying in SY BCom. I am from village Pandos, Taluka Malvan. I joined GF Foundation in 2018. Now, I would like to introduce you our today's virtual meet guest, Mr. Anand Prabhudesai sir. Anand sir co-founded Turtle Mint in 2015 with the mission of creating a million financial interpreters who can help each and every Indian reach their financial goals. Turtle Mint insurance distribution technology platform is currently used by over 2 lakh sellers all over India, from the smallest town to the biggest cities, to help customers pleasant online experience. At Turtle Mint, Anand sir leads product and marketing. Prior to founding Turtle Mint, Anand sir had over 15 years of experience working with marquee companies such as Flickr, Yahoo, Nokia, and Silicon Valley startups. In those companies, he developed innovative internet services with the help of cross-functional teams. He has an MBA with honors from well-known Chicago School of Business and a BTech degree in electric engineering from IIT Bombay, which is one of the best institutes, not only in India, but all over the world. So the moment you are waiting for has come now. Let's start our interaction with Anand sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jagruti, for such a beautiful introduction. Dream is not the thing that you see in your sleep, but that is the thing that doesn't let you in sleep. Said by our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Anand sir exemplifies it so well. Sir, we are very eager to listen your journey of success from zero to zenith. So, I would like to invite Dipti Kavale and Jay Shirke for the further interaction with you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dipti Kavale. I am pursuing bachelor degree in business administration in Niswadia College, Pune. My native place is Aravali in Sindhudurga and I joined GEF family in the year 2019. Now I would like to invite my co-host Jay to introduce himself.
Sir, hello everyone. I'm Jay Shirke. I'm from Mumbai. I have completed my graduation in BSc Chemistry from Mumbai University, and now I am pursuing post-graduation diploma in packaging technology from Indian Institute of Packaging. Sir, we are absolutely privileged to have you with our community today. We thank you so much for taking out time for us out of your hectic schedule. Myself and Dipti will be asking some questions on behalf of our GF students. However, if anyone else has some questions, they can ask us and write in the chat box. If time permits, we will take them and ask those questions at the end. Sir, from an adolescent, from a Goan middle class family, to be a co-founder of Turtle Mint, that is employing 1,500 professionals, is an amazing journey. You crossed that to one of the most elite institutions in the country and one of the most renowned business schools. En route, you also had stints with marquee companies. Can you please walk us through that?
Sure. So good evening, everyone. Are you able to hear me? Hi,
Yes, sir,
Kale.
yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So, I'm really pleased, first of all, to have this interaction and share some aspects of my story. And I hope you find, something interesting, in my journey as well. And maybe you can relate it to your own journey as well. As you're going through your journey, hopefully you will find some similarities and some different things as well. So, like you said, I started, born in Goa. I'm actually, I think, a cousin of Maya, it's, so kind of family member. Grew up in a middle class family. My mother was a school teacher, and my father worked in the government of Goa. And if I look back, back in 1975, when I was born in this particular family, I had sort of nothing that I didn't have. I mean, I think, I had a healthy body, a healthy mind. I had loving parents who took good care of us, provided for us all the basics, a good environment in the school. And if I look at all of that now, looking back, I didn't know what it was, but today I feel I was very lucky, to have been born in such an environment. It was nothing luxurious or exotic or anything like that, but it was everything that was needed for my own development, and for my own learning and creation of my own path, right? So I could have been born anywhere. I could have been born in poverty. I could have been born in some difficult let's say malaria infested country in Africa or wherever, and my whole destiny may have been very different from what it is today. So I consider that setting and being born in this family and in this setup here as my first sort of lottery, if I will, my luck that I got got to be in this setting. And the learnings the teachings I got from my parents were sort of the foundation. So what I would say to you all is, listen to what your mother is saying, follow her instructions, including all the small things, eating the right food, taking care of your health, having good habits, because these are the things that later on in life will give you the energy and the drive that is needed, when you're trying to do something big, when you're trying to, be an entrepreneur, especially, you need a lot of energy and you need a lot of discipline. And if you're able to build that through good habits, which you build in your early childhood, what your mother teaches you, I mean, those are the very foundations on which you can build a great career in entrepreneurship, right? I studied in a convent school, Don Bosco High School. The school was fantastic for me. Aside from academics, the school really encouraged other participation in extracurricular activities. So, for example, elocution and debating was a big part of some of the activities that I participated in, and it helped me in developing my communication skills, in being able to present my viewpoints, again, which was very important. While I was an engineer and I could build things, I also had to learn how to communicate well. You need to do both. You need to be able to create something and be able to tell a good story. And some of that participation, like you guys are now participating, doing this interview, asking me questions, all of that is very good experience. It will help you in life, no matter what career you are education, my schooling, my cousin sister told me, hey, there is something called IIT and you should try for it. It's a great you can change your life and so on. And so, I had to do a lot of self-study. There were no tuitions, no classes available at that time. So we just, got books through mail, and we would just go through the course material and so on. And I worked hard. I found it interesting. I liked the subjects, and so I was doing well, and I got into IIT Bombay. And IIT Bombay was a great turning point. When I went there, you have a certain viewpoint. Of course, it's a great institution of academic excellence, right? And you got the best of facilities. But I think one of the unsaid things also was, I was in the middle at that time of some 2,000 students, like-minded, ambitious, curious, eager to learn, and each of them had a different skill and a different strength. And I learned a lot from each of my colleagues and friends in that 4 years of engineering. So I was just absorbing so many things that and I made some great friends who continue to be great friends even today. And IIT, as really opened other doors for me. I got to the US, where I started working in some of the best companies out there. Did an MBA at the University of Chicago, and even when I went to the US, I had this intention of coming back to India, at some point. And after about 7-8 years in the US, I decided to come back, and everybody was like, why are you going back? I mean, nobody at that time actually went back to India. Like if I look at my batch of IITs, my batchmates, I think 90% of them are in the US, and out of 60, maybe 57, 58 are there, and I may be the only one who's actually come back from that batch of electrical engineering. So it was something I really wanted to do, and I took a path which nobody else did, right? Because I felt that I had to be back, I had to be closer to my family, and I felt that the future opportunities in technology, in business, are going to get created in India. And I took that leap, and I came at a huge salary cut, and when I came back to India also, people were like, why did you come back? Did you have some problem over there or something like that? So it was both sides, when I left also, people were asking me. When I came also, people were asking me, Kashasati alas parat, but that was again a decision I think I made, just believing that was right for me. And ever since back, this is 15 years ago, I have not gone back to the US. I've been working all my time in India, and I loved technology. I was just I love that process of creating something out of using software and using latest technology, and I therefore chose to work in technology companies, and I was lucky to find those opportunities in the US. I worked in Silicon Valley with a startup which was building technology products, and then when I came back to Yahoo, one of at that time the largest internet company. Then I worked at Nokia, which was at one time the largest mobile phone company. And I learned a lot about building technology products in these companies. And then, there was an entrepreneurial bug inside me, that when I saw all this, when I experienced the power of technology, and, I felt that I could create something myself. I got that confidence after so many years building products, technology products in these companies. And that's where, about 6 years ago, I went on to start Turtlement, and that's a whole different story. I'll take a pause here and see if you have any questions on this part of my journey.
Yes, sir. Your answer was really actually appreciated that. But what I want to ask is, you said in your journey that you have feeling grateful that you have born in a good family, but still I feel that you certainly may have faced different challenges. So what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? Was there, so would you please like to explain about it?
Yeah. So several challenges, as an entrepreneur, in particular, you face a lot of challenges, like when I, again, when I left a well-paying job in a very large company, I was doing very well. First off, you have to just get comfortable that, a lot of people will, of course, will question that, why are you leaving, a job and a career which seems to be going on a very good path, right? And people will put that sort of fear in you, right? That you're making a mistake. This is not, 99, only 1% of the people maybe do what I did, right? Especially back 7-8 years ago. Now maybe there's a little bit more, maybe it's 2-3% or maybe 5% people are doing this. But that was the first challenge. The first challenge, I think, when you decide to become an entrepreneur is with your own mind and with your own self, right? You need to be strong. You need to be confident, right? That you can take this path. It's happened several times. I told you earlier as well, when I moved back to the US, when I left my job, started entrepreneurship, a lot of people will question your decisions and they will give you many very good logical reasons, including your parents, your close family members, right? They will give you logically good reasons on why you should not jump in, right? And do something like that, take a risk. So that is the first challenge with your own self that you have to deal with. And then, other challenges will definitely come, when we started the business, there were several times when we didn't have money. We had people working in the company, a few hundred, even when we had a couple of hundred people working in the company, there was a time when we were almost running out of money, right? We didn't have the money to pay next month's salary. We were in the middle of the month and we didn't have the money. And, we just had to be clever and be smart and, be persistent. And we found somebody who helped us out at that time, right? One of our investors helped us out and we were able to get through that difficult moment. But it was very, these were some very stressful sort of situations that you would go through as an entrepreneur. I can talk more about that. Yeah, lots of challenges.
Sir, it's really good to know about how did you overcome your challenges. Sir, you mentioned in your journey that we should learn from our mother, we should listen her advice. So that is the part of your childhood. But I would like to ask, who influenced you the most at different stages of life? You told earlier about your childhood, that maybe your mother influenced you in the childhood. So we would like to know at different stages of life, who influenced you the most?
Right. So, my approach is, to learn from what, to observe and learn, right? From whatever situations I have gone through in my life. And, I have, of course, I also read quite a bit. So I have read, read about many of our great leaders, and like Swami Vivekanand, for example, is a big influence in my early childhood as a hero, as somebody who led a very disciplined life and, contributed to society as well, right? But I think, I have also drawn a lot of learning from just people around me, by observing how people handle different situations. So I had, friends who went through really tough health issues, like very sort of critical illnesses, and how they dealt with that situation, is what I learned from them in terms of how to deal with any crisis with a smile and with a, with a sort of positive attitude, right? And I then try to make that a part of my life as well in terms of how I approach any situation. So a lot of my, I would just say, a lot of my, a lot of influence on me has just been from people around me. And what I see also, everybody has some strength. Everybody has something that you can learn from and be influenced by. And that's really how, I have, improved myself by just taking it from other people around.
Can you share any anecdote? Can you share any anecdote wherein you could learn something from your friends? That perhaps would be quite interesting for people to know, to understand.
Sure. So, there was this particular situation I was referring to where, at a very young age, one of my friends went through a very difficult time, and he was going through a very tough health issue, right? And eventually, we lost him. But during that time, I became quite close to him, and I used to visit him and so on. And what I saw was, he was just very, very strong. Prior to that, I used to get very irritable and irritated whenever something wrong happened, like let's say I had even a fever or something, I used to get very anxious or, very irritable during those times. And I saw him deal with this particular difficult situation in a very, very calm and calm manner with a lot of strength, right? And that just changed my perspective. It almost changed my personality, where I started to feel that, any problem can be dealt with. Some things you can change, some things you can't. But you can make the best effort always. And when you make the best effort always, you will be in a positive frame of mind. And when you are in a positive frame of mind, you can actually maybe achieve a much better result in solving a problem than when you approach it like it is a problem, right? So that was sort of a very strong, learning for me from that friend of mine, and it changed my perspective. Another thing I didn't mention this earlier, but when I was at IIT, one of my professors, he actually, I would say, was one of my inspirations for coming back to India. And his problem or his point was that, look, I mean, so many government invests in IITs, and in a lot of the education is provided at a subsidized cost, right? And students don't come back, and maybe if they came back to India, and if you just stayed here, right, maybe you don't have to do anything, but if you just stayed just as a regular citizen, even, you could be a good positive influence on so many other people, right? And therefore you should come back, right? And he was my BTech project guide, Professor H. Narayanan, and he was a big influence also for me in terms of sort of coming back and coming back to India. And I felt that if I did this and if I became an entrepreneur, I could create jobs and again contribute back to society. So these are a couple of stories early on in my life that inspired me and changed me for what I am today.
Sir, your life, sir, your journey is very inspiring. Thank you for sharing your wonderful thoughts. Sir, we believe that the entrepreneurship would be the thing of the future. What we can do to develop entrepreneur mindset right from school days, college days, and among working professionals.
Yeah. So, entrepreneurship actually is not something new, right? If you look at maybe even 2 generations ago, everybody was an entrepreneur. You worked for yourself, right? You were farming, or you were in some trade, you were, some craftsperson or something, right? You just did some work, and you provided a service or a product to your community, and you earned from that, right? And that is the most basic entrepreneurship. And so therefore, first of all, the entrepreneurial mindset is naturally there within us, right? It is how we have always sort of lived for many generations, until maybe the factory jobs were created and people started to do factory jobs and started to do later clerical or office jobs, right? So the fundamentally, we are all, and we all can be entrepreneurial, even if we are working somewhere, right? So entrepreneurship is today, it's not simply about working, maybe starting a company, but you can be an entrepreneur, or you have an entrepreneurial mindset, even in a job or in a company where you may be working at. Fundamentally, if you ask me about how do you create an entrepreneurial mindset? There are 2 things, okay, which or 2-3 things maybe that I think are fundamental, right? First, I think is entrepreneurs look for problems. Okay, so you have to have a keen sense of observation. You need to look at what people are complaining about. Okay, if they're complaining about something, that means it's an opportunity. If somebody is saying there is some problem with, let's say, this Zoom call, it's not very working well in a certain part or of the country, or in a low bandwidth area or whatever, that is an opportunity. Okay, because if somebody can solve that problem, you can provide a much better service and a better experience, and you can create a company or a business out of that, or so the fundamental thing, the most important thing in an entrepreneurial mindset is to be keen observer of your surroundings, to understand maybe what the problems are. That will give you the ideas, for what could be done. And then once you are able to generate ideas of what may be wrong, right, or what can be made better, then the second part of the mindset of an entrepreneur is to be able to create something, right, to create a solution. Now, not every problem can be solved, or you can have an entrepreneurial solution. Sometimes the solutions are very simple. You can just do something and the problem gets solved. But there are certain problems which you can solve in a much bigger way and impact thousands and lakhs and millions of people, and make that a business. So you then have to have a creative spirit. So when you see a problem, you also need to start thinking about how to solve it creatively. And then the third part of that, of being an entrepreneur, is being able to think of whether this is going to become a business or not, right? So you may have a great idea, but maybe there's only you who wants that, in that case, it's not going to become a business. It's not going to become a big company or a revenue generating or a value creating company, right? So you also then got to have that business sense, which you develop, over time by working, by trying things out. So those 2-3 things, looking for ideas, being having a mindset of a creator, trying to create solutions. Sometimes you don't create the solution yourself. Sometimes it's not necessary that you have to do everything. You don't have to create the iPhone was not created by Steve Jobs alone, right? He was the inspiration. Thousands of people came together to build it. So you may have to create, you may have to bring people together of different skill sets and different backgrounds to create. So creation is a process in itself. Depending on what the idea is, if it's a small idea, you may be able to do it yourself, or you bring together people. You need to know then who are the people you need to bring together to create something of impact. And then of course the business side of it, where you need to start thinking about how it can become a big business. Yeah.
Sir, you well explain about entrepreneurial mindset, right? So, but today's generation is, excited about this entrepreneurial pathway. They are already excited about finding a problem and finding a solution of that problem. Okay, they are already excited about it, but they are also overawed by the challenges, especially financial risks. What would you advise them? And the family pressure. Okay, financial risk and family pressure is also can become a major hurdle in this journey. So how can that be tackled?
Yeah. So like I said, if you just jump into something without thinking about it, then you are that entrepreneurial venture may become a little bit foolish, or you're basically doing something totally unprepared, right? So my advice is first prepare yourself, right? There is no sort of rush to jump into something maybe right in college or right after college. Some people do it and they succeed as well, but you got to know yourself as well and know what your strengths are, what you really know about, right, before you jump into an entrepreneurial venture. So if you're working in let's say a pharmaceutical company tomorrow, right, you're more likely to understand something about that business and have a very deep insight, which gives you the idea of creating something which can become value creating, right? So you have to de-risk, right? Because when you leave a job and you go into entrepreneurship, you're taking a big risk, right? A financial risk. So you need to have some planning, maybe, in terms of how you think over 12 months, 18 months, or let's say 24 months, you need to give yourself that much time to establish any business today, right? So how will that develop over a 24-month period? You need to put some thought and some plan into it, right? So preparation means all the experiences you get before you get to that point. So in my case, for example, I had worked for several years in technology companies. I had built software products similar to the one that I'm now building at Turtlemint. So I had that experience of how to build a product, how to market it, how to get customers. I had that experience. So I had that confidence, that I can do that, I can do it, right? And it was real confidence, not just, arrogance, that there's a fine line, between confidence and arrogance. So you need to know that, right? That I'm confident because I have some experience or something to suggest that I can do this well, right? That is what I call as preparation. Then you need to have the insight that you can actually create something which is very different, right? Which is going to create value. And again, insight comes from deep experience. So if you have experienced something in agriculture, for example, and there is a problem there, you have, you worked on a field, you have done agriculture work, then you have some deep insight about some opportunity there or some problem there. And you're better prepared when you get into the entrepreneurial path, right? Because it can very, very 50%, 60% chance that it can fail. So you de-risk this by preparation, by experience, and then you also, after some time, after you have that, you have to literally close your eyes and close your ears to whatever people may tell you. They will, like I said, in my experience as well, a lot of people told me, why are you doing this, right? People will question you. So that is maybe what you're calling as family pressure, right? And so you need to be able to also tell your family that, look, I have thought about this well. I think there is an opportunity and I'm going to give myself 2-3 years, and I've planned it out for 2-3 years where I can actually give my time to this. And this is something that will give me satisfaction. It has to give you satisfaction, even if you fail. So if you're able to communicate that well to your family, that, what you're doing is something, which you have thought well, which you're confident about, and it's something that will make you happy. I'm sure 100% there will be some protests, from your family, but they will definitely back you for that time. And I saw that, once I jumped in, my family, my wife, everybody backed me, in those early days when things were tough and I was just starting to set up the business.
Okay, sir. So, from our to be entrepreneurs, from our foundations will definitely think about your answer and will definitely look to themselves and figure it out before turning towards entrepreneurial pathway.
Yeah, on that one, I will also add, see, when you start something, right? I said figure it out, but also remember that you can't figure it out 100%. Okay, you will only be able to figure out 20-30%. Okay, after that, you also have to have the courage and the confidence to take a leap of faith. Udi maraichi. So
yes,
that is also important. Otherwise, you will, be stuck in a never-ending loop. Okay, so you have to prepare also, but you also have to, at the same time, balance it with courage and take a leap of faith. Yes.
Sir, you said that we have to prepare before starting business. But what kind of preparation entrepreneurs need to do at different stages?
Yeah. So it's a great question. I think there are some fundamental things. Fundamental things are, I would say, self-belief. Like I mentioned, you have to be confident. Because you will face lots of problems. I mentioned about the financial problem, but you will, you will have problems in getting your product to market. The first version of the product will not work. Okay. The second version also will not work. The third version also will not work. Okay. And every time it doesn't work, you will learn something. And if you can learn that and make it part of your product in the next version, right, then you will keep making progress. Right. So learning from your failures is very important, and being persistent, not giving up. If you believe strongly that you can solve a problem, you should not give up. Right. And it's easy to say this, not give up. But when you're practically in that situation and you don't have the resources to do what you want to do, right? When you don't, maybe you don't have the money or you don't have the people, you need some particular skill, right? That person is not available. So these are all very practical problems that you will face. as part of that journey. And so you will have to, there's a word in English called hustle. You have to hustle a lot. You have to find the answer. You have to go talk to different people if needed. You got to maybe sit outside somebody's office, outside a customer's office, right? Promise them a product, which may have not built right now, but maybe get an advance from them so that you can find some money to build the product that they need. So that hustling is also very, very, important in those early days, especially. You will have problems with, if you're employing, you will have problems with employees. They will not show up to work one day, whatever. And you will have to go and maybe do the work when they're not there, right? Or some other issues, government issues, tax department, all kinds of issues can come up. So you have to be prepared for a lot of these challenges and just deal through them and not let yourself be affected by it. So that's the persistence that is needed.
Yeah, certainly. Just a little bit on the lighter side.
Yeah.
How did you think of the name Turtle Mint?
Yeah. So turtle as a symbol of protection, right? Turtle has a shell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was a symbol of protection. And mint, mint is where money is printed, right? So mint also is money. So protection of your money is is insurance. Okay, insurance protects your wealth. So
Wonderful.
that's how we came up with that.
Good.
Yeah. But on the lighter side now, or even more lighter side, when we wanted to register our company, right? We wanted a domain name. Okay, so we wanted Turtle Mint. We wanted something.com. And we looked at many names. We actually looked at almost 100 names. And the only name, the only domain which we could buy for 195 rupees was turtlemint.com. All the other domains were very, very expensive. So we chose that name. That was the best option we had at that time.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. Next one. Jay. Dipti, who is it?
So
Yeah.
what is a good time to start an enterprise? Like we have heard about benefits of starting enterprise right from the college, especially in campus CEO book. So what is the right time to start an enterprise according to you?
Yeah. So it depends. Okay, I think you can. People have started, like Facebook founder started when he was 19. He was in college and he dropped out and started the company, right? And there are people who have started even their 50s and 60s. So age is not not a way to think about the right time, right? Right time is, like I alluded earlier to as well. It's when you are prepared. Okay, when you're prepared to take the risk, when you have some insight which makes you feel confident that you can do it. And also, I think the other part which I probably missed saying is you need to have good partners. I found a great partner in Dhirendra who complemented my skills and my background, so to speak. So something like a company with something which can become a big company, for example, you need people with different skills and different backgrounds. If you are an engineer, you need somebody from accounts background. If you are from accounts, you may need somebody who's an engineer, or you may need somebody who's a good marketer or a salesperson, right? A good finance person. So you need people of different backgrounds, and you need to be able to have a good team. That's something even investors look at. In the early stage of building a company like this, a technology company, investors will look at the kind of team you have. Rarely is it it's never a one-man sport, and very few large and sort of entrepreneurial ventures are single founder companies, right? So you also need to find that team, that like-minded people who believe in that same idea and who will be there for a long time, because it's a 10-year journey. It's not something, at least you should think of it that way when you start, that this is a 10-year thing. It's a 10-year partnership, and it's a long race. So for that long race, you need good team and good partners as well. So I think when all of that comes together, you will, and something you're passionate about as well, because when difficulties come, you will have to go through them. So when all of those things come, you're prepared. That's the right time to jump in and do what you want.
Sir, you're by all means a successful individual. So how do you handle success? I mean, would you please explain how do you handle success?
Yeah, so I don't think of myself as successful. When I think of success, right, for me it is about you can have a successful mission, right? Like what Pradeep sir is doing here with Gurukul, it's a mission, right? And it is successful when you achieve the results that you wanted to deliver on, right? You may want to have some certain impact you want to have. So if I look at my company, for example, today, right, I'll just share a little bit of background on what we do. We have created a software which helps insurance agents get more business, provide better service to their customers, provide, using a mobile phone app, they can provide insurance of all companies, in the click of a few buttons, right? So my mission right now is to enable and empower 1 million such agents, 10 lakh agents. Today we have 100,000 or about 1 lakh agents who are using our platform and who are earning some income by being part of our network, right? So that's something I'm proud of, that it's not just 1,500 employees who are part of the Turtlemint company, but also this 1 lakh insurance entrepreneurs, right, in small towns and villages, who are using this application that we have created, this app we have created, and earning an income from it by selling insurance and mutual funds and other financial products to their community and customers, right? But my mission right now is to create 1 million. So I think I'm still, still maybe 1/10 of the way on achieving that milestone, but I'm feeling pretty good. I think the hard part, the first 50% hard part is done, and we should be able to get there. The second mission of my company is that everybody should have the right insurance product. So a lot of times, for example, you may have seen this around you as well, that people fall sick, or they get in have some accident on the road or in a factory or something, and then the health expenses can literally bankrupt the whole family. They lose their earning capacity or whatever, right? And the family gets into poverty, and therefore you're not able to then do what invest in education or development of the children and so on. So that way insurance is a very important product, and so the mission of my company is also to make sure that everybody in every family in India has the right kind of insurance cover, at least the minimum that they can afford, right? So that they are protected against these kinds of risks. And on that front, we are still far away in terms of achieving our mission. So we are looking for that. That will be kind of success for me. But yeah, I think whatever I have achieved so far, I'm proud of it. I'm happy about it. But there's a long way to go, is how I see it.
Sir, how do you fulfill demands and expectation of people around you?
Yeah. So there is, definitely a lot of time pressure. And as the company has grown now with 1,500 people and also expansion of the business, there's a lot of things that can come your way. So, one of the good things also is now, what I feel is you cannot do everything, right? So you have to be able to scale yourself also and scale your time. And that's where, having strong partners and strong colleagues is very, very important. People with the sort of right attitude, right mindset, and abilities, they are able to sort of do a lot of the work that maybe in the early stages of the company I would have to do myself, right? So team, delegation, these are kind of standard sort of things that you have to naturally grow into, right? And being able to build a great team. So a lot of my time I do spend now in building a great team, because if I'm able to build a great team, a lot of the demands on my time will be automatically reduced. So that's important. And then the other is also to, plan your day well, make sure you are able to spend time with your family as well, and work. So get that work-life balance, planning it well, being efficient. So being quick. So I have I try to keep, try to make sure I respond to all emails, for example, that I get during the day, right? I make sure I respond to them within 24 hours. So I try to build that discipline. So I don't let too much of backlog to build up. Of course, there are some decisions which take longer time, where you need to have, you need to give yourself more time. But in general, on many of the smaller things, I try to make sure that I'm very prompt and get back to people, in a quick manner. So some of these are just habits I have built over time. A small habit, for example, is, I make a lot of notes. Any meeting I make sure I make very good notes. I look at them. I go back and look at them on a regular basis, so I know what decisions I can take. So this is this is something I find, for example, you may be doing in school and college where you write notes, but people sometimes forget to do that when they're in the office setting. And these habits, these are small habits, but they can make your life very productive, and you're able to do a lot more by being organized. The other thing I mentioned earlier, about having energy, right? Having a lot of energy to get through 14, 16-hour days. You need to pay attention to your diet, to your health, regularly exercise, eat healthy, so that you have the energy level, right? And take care of your both mental and physical health. Then you are, able to do a lot more than what you think you can do.
Wonderful.
So we can say that doing our work on time and being a disciplined personality can be the key for our maintaining work and life balance. So we are sorry that you had time for talking with us, our GF community. And that must have been due to your social awareness and your enjoyment nurturing socially responsible projects. So would you please tell us how can we also spread that joy and awareness?
Yeah, I think if you can, I'm sure there are lots of aspiring entrepreneurs in this room today, right? And also, by the way, with this whole remote work concept now, right, post COVID especially, right, it is much more, I think, easier to be where you are, you know, in your small town or city or wherever you are, and provide services to the world. Okay, so my you know, my request to all of you is to think of, to have a big ambition, right, in terms of what you may be able to do. You may be underestimating yourself. Okay, so if you are able to, you know, think big, and with the internet today, you can provide all kinds of services to the whole world. You know, I'm sure that many of you can become very successful entrepreneurs, right? And by being entrepreneurs, you know, you get you know, create income opportunities directly and indirectly in your community and in your for your you know, we bring benefit to your surroundings. So I'll be happy, you know, if at least a few of you choose that path at some point in your life, and you know, whether you succeed or fail, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you need a lot of luck as well to succeed as an entrepreneur. You know, that you know, if you get it, that's well and good. But you know, in that whole process of even becoming an entrepreneur, you will learn so much about your own self and become a better person. So I'll be happy, you know, if some of you also take this path at some point in your career.
Anandji, the question had some another angle.
Yeah.
That, you know, you joined us and you're talking with all these students, you're spending your valuable time, and that is because of social awareness that you've been nurturing.
Yeah.
And you have been supporting socially responsible projects. So I think what they wanted to ask was that, how can we spread this kind of awareness? How can we have more Anands, okay, who can do these things?
Okay. Great. So you know, I think perhaps you mean getting people to participate in such kind of endeavors?
Yeah, you are social awareness, that's why you could come here today.
Right.
Otherwise, it's nothing about your business as such.
Right. Yeah.
So this social awareness is something that gives a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But many people aren't aware of that thing.
Yeah.
That doing such things can also give sufficient joy. So how we can spread this awareness amongst people in general?
Yeah. So you know, I like to think of you know, I like to think of even social projects as entrepreneurial projects, right? And I feel that when you position even your social projects as entrepreneurial projects, right, and are able to demonstrate that, you know, they are creating value, and the value doesn't have to be always, you know, revenues or profits, right? Value is impact in you know, lives of maybe the students, right? How their lives are improving by being part of this by being part of Gurukul, right? So I think you know, talking about it now, you guys are young folks, you are on social media, you are on, I'm sure, on you know, many other platforms like Instagram and WhatsApp and so on. So you can create awareness through those means, right? Those are very, very powerful means of reaching out to a large audience. So you could be it could be your status, it could be your posts, right? So I think creating awareness now is easy, and I think also there is a lot of one of the things maybe that's different among the entrepreneurs today. A lot of them are coming from backgrounds like mine, coming from middle class families, and they are, I think, also more aware, you know, about you know, just giving back to society and so on. And
Anand, I would like to ask the last question from one of our participants, Mr. Vasant Marathe. He's asking, can you share any examples of how your employees working with entrepreneur mindset? How do you encourage that behavior?
Yeah. So one of the things, right, especially in larger companies versus working in a startup, for example, is we encourage risk taking. Okay, so if somebody has an idea and wants to do a project, there is not too much of questioning. Okay, or saying, hey, this, or basically, there's no creation of fear that, what happens if there is a failure. Okay, nobody is going to lose their job if they have a failure. In fact, they may even get promoted if we learned out something from that failure, right? So we encourage risk taking in our company. Anybody can come with an idea and say, look, here is something I'm thinking of, we should try it out. And there's a little bit of debate and discussion on whether that is an idea that we should try out or not. And there's also a little bit of thinking about how to do it in a very low cost way, right? So many ideas can be tried out, and risk taking can be done, and doesn't have to have a very high cost. If it's done in a very thoughtful way. In the technology startup world, there's a concept called minimum viable product. Okay, so you think of every problem and a solution in terms of a viable product, which means something that a customer will accept, but it is minimum, right? It's done in a way which is quick. Maybe it requires just a few weeks of effort, right? So when you start having that kind of mindset, it doesn't look very risky, because you're going to do a little bit of effort, learn from it. So encouraging risk taking, and then sort of a process of this minimum viable product, right, is how we are able to take a lot of risks, and that encourages an entrepreneurial mindset in the employees. I hope I've answered Mr. Marathe's.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anand. Over to Saili.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself. I am Saili Kelkar. I am from Nagpur and currently pursuing engineering BTech from YCC Nagpur. I joined GEF this year on March 2021. Thank you everyone for joining us. Special thank you to our guest Anand Prabhu Desai sir, who has taken out their valuable time and guided us. We are sure there are many learnings from today's session. Heartily thank you to our GEF students who participated in today's session. Thank you to all our listeners on Zoom as well as on YouTube.
Great.
I guess, Anandji, would you like to have any kind of final comments, closing comments?
No, I'm really glad to participate in this. Thank you for having me over, and hopefully, this is something that hopefully there's something from my journey. Maybe even one thing that hopefully somebody, all the students could take. I'll be very happy about it, and happy to help and participate in any other way I can.
Yeah, I think they certainly will take. I mean, absolutely.
I would like to invite Tanishka Karanjkar for singing Pasaidan.
I joined GEF Foundation in October. Today I will sing
शोनी मद द्यावे पसायदान हे आंची व्यंकटी सांडो तया सत्कर्मी रतिवाडो भूता परस्परे पडो मैत्र जीवांचे दुरितांचे तिमिर जाओ विश्वस्वधर्म सूर्ये पाहो दोजे वांचील तो ते लाहो प्राणिदात वर्षत सकळ मंगळी ईश्वर निष्ठांची मांदियाळी अनवरत भूमंडळी पेटतु भूता चला कल्पतरुंचे आरव चेतना चिंतामणीचे गाव बोलते जे अर्णव पियुषांचे चंद्रमेजे अलांछन मार्तंड जे तापहीना ते सर्वाही तदा सज्जन सोयरे होतो किंबहुना सर्वसुखी पूर्ण होमो नितिनी लोकी भजितो आदि पुरुषी अखंडित आणि ग्रंथोपजीविये विशेषी लोकीये दृष्टादृष्ट विजय होवावेजी एतमने श्री विश्वेश्वराव हा होई दान पसाव एने वरे ज्ञान देव शुद्धिया
Thank you, Tanishka, for singing Pasadan in your beautiful voice. Now, I would like to invite our GF functionaries to thank you, our honorable guest.
Thank you, Anand, for this great session and lot of learnings from your journey. And so much relevance, and you can relate, even I could relate to it. The experiences you shared, the solutions, and the way you developed, the way you were evolved. So it's a journey of life, and it's not only entrepreneurial, as a person also. There's so much to learn from all this. Thanks for once again, and for this exciting, sessions. And I think the time, due to the time, the short of time, we had to really make it, just interrupt it. But then it's a journey. And one I would like to share is that such a humble, what we learned is that so much humility in all this. Yet and ethics, humility, principles, all this we don't leave, and that is what we learn from you. And he readily accepted, with not even one thought in this busy schedule that he had, that you had, that I'll have next date, I'm not sure, I'll try. Not even this, that's what really touched us. Thanks once again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening to all. I'm Shraddha Guladkar, one of the GEF supporters. I extend really hearty vote of thanks to Mr. Anand for your valuable time and the guidance. It was lovely hearing you. It was a wonderful session and very inspiring. I am sure myself and the whole GF students have definitely gained lots of insights and learning from the session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone once again for joining the meeting. Now we are closing the meeting.